Hey, welcome back everybody to Good Mom. We're so
Hello.
glad you're here with us. I'm Lindsay and this is Sunny, and we're just having a great day. And boy, do we have a conversation for today. This day we are going to talk about haircuts. Now, yes, I know this does not sound important to most people, but there are times in our lives when our kids want haircuts,
hmm
tattoos, really strange piercings, things that they decide that they want. And we have to kind of think about how do we feel about that and what are we going to say? On a very small note, I do remember when my kids first came home and said, both of them, my son and daughter, we want to get our ears pierced. Okay. So, Sunny, maybe you can kick it off. Tell me what's going on for you. I know you have kids that probably have hairstyle things, and I'm going to talk a little too about what I've lived with.
Yeah, this was literally something that happened yesterday morning. I think my son was leaving for school in the morning and came down the steps and like his hair's kind of still wet from the shower. It's like all in his face and I'm like, "Do we need to do something about that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I totally need to get my hair done." And so this is like front and center for my family and I because my kids are younger. They all still live at the house. And, as a parent, you want to guide them. But then I also really do believe in the power of creativity. And
Yeah.
if they're doing something like, especially, if we just focus on hair, because we could get into, I think it's like we could talk about tattoos, we could talk about piercings, a lot of other things that your kids come to you and ask you to do, right? But if
Totally.
we just focus on hair, for me, hair is an accessory.
Hmm.
And if I look at all the things that I've done to my hair over the years,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
know.
I started when I was a wee girl, okay?
Yeah.
Because my mom was a
Yeah.
chameleon with her hair. She would do tons of different things. Like, I mean, if we look at old pictures, and we actually did this recently, I got as a Christmas gift, I got my parents' old slides
Oh,
converted into
fun.
digital photos.
All the old pictures. That's so cool.
Yes, it was so much fun. But like in each like year, we're like, "Where's mom?" And it's like it's hard to find her because her hair's so different, right? So that's the environment that I grew up in was
Fair.
it's an expression,
Yeah.
And now it's even more of an expression
Hmm.
because we've got all these different hair colors. You could have green hair, you can have
Yeah.
rainbow colored hair, you could have it super short on one side or super short in the back and long in the front.
Right.
Like the possibilities are endless.
Yep.
And so I like to look at it from a creativity point of view.
Like
And
it.
if my child wants to do something that's a little different with their hair, I actually don't have a problem with it. If you are a good person and you are doing good in the world and that is a way that you express yourself
Yeah.
and it's either that or doing something that maybe would be permanent to their body that maybe they're not in a position to really make that kind of decision yet,
Right.
right? I
Yes.
just kind of view it as this fluid thing because that's kind of how I treat my hair. Now I've never gone full like, pink hair, green hair or whatever, but that's just my personal preference. If I, wanted to do that, I would absolutely do that. So for me, we haven't my
Yeah.
kids aren't like wanting to do like full on Grinch hair or anything like that, at least not at this time. But I really don't have a problem with it, but I know there are parents that do.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't really have a problem with it either, but it's maybe slightly a different point of view, but
Mm,
the same, no problem.
yeah.
So hair grows back.
Yes, it
Hair
does.
changes color. Hair is really easy to fix with just a little bit of time. I think about all the people who go through cancer treatments, lose all their hair, and within just a couple of years, it's all back or new
Yes.
color or whatever. So, hair to me is one where I would say to a child who comes home and says, I want to do blue stripes in my hair, which by the way did happen with my daughter. I went, cool, let's do it. Because knowing full well it'll A, grow out, B, it's going to be a short-lived thing, and that turned out to be really true.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I want to try this, and you're right, it's creative expression, why not?
Yeah.
Tattoos are harder to fix. Just put it over there. Okay, you can't change that, so it's a little more permanent.
Yeah.
Piercings also challenging, but whatever. But I think with the way that kids are today, I think sometimes you just want to have a new hairstyle just to be able to be different, to stand
Yes.
out, to have a new look. And I know I love getting my hair colored now. It kind of needs a little more highlights these days. I like it when my hair is an expression of how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And why not?
Why
So
not?
if you're going to choose a battle with a kid, I probably wouldn't choose the you can't have pink hair battle. I think I'd go with let's do three colors.
Yeah.
Try go a little further, and then they'll back off and go, "Oh, mom, that's dumb. I'm not doing that," or whatever. So
Yeah, be part of the experience with them. So
yes,
last year, my twins, my girls, they were 10 years old at the time. They
okay.
came to me and said, "Mom, we want to do something fun with our hair." And I thought, well, I don't know if we really want to do something permanent. But what we settled on was, let's take the like bottom 2 inches of your hair,
Mhm.
and let's do like a semi-permanent crazy color with that portion. Like, let's do baby steps, basically. Let's not go
Okay.
full on whatever. um but because I had experience with dyeing my own hair and doing different things to my hair over the years, I felt very comfortable going to a store where they had this kind of stuff, getting the supplies, and coming home and doing it. And I have these great photos of the process, and we had so much fun. We ruined a couple towels in the process.
That's normal. You do that even if you're doing your own hair.
It was so much fun. I'll have to post some pictures so you guys can see. So they ended up picking a red, but it really looked more like a bright, bright pink,
Oh,
right?
cool.
And so
Pretty.
it was like the bottom, couple inches of their hair probably ended up being like 3 inches because, I was just
Yeah.
kind of leveling it out or whatever. And I've allowed them to experiment with different things like that. There's now a shampoo that they're using that is kind of like does like a leave-in color in their
Oh,
hair.
that's a good idea. Yeah,
So
practice
yeah,
hair.
one of the ways I'm experimenting right now is with different lengths of hair. So I'll get hair extensions that you just put in yourself or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I've ordered some online, and then they come and it's like, oh, that doesn't really match my hair color. And so the other day my girls were helping me dye the hair to see if I could get it to match my color. And some of it worked, some of it didn't. But then I give it to them. My girls actually have one of those it's not a full-on mannequin, but I think it's the
Yeah, it's like
head
a head thing that they
on
use
a
in kiddie
pole.
school. Yeah, it's like a kiddie school
Yes.
mannequin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
So
are so fun.
they have one of those, and so I gave them the hair extensions that didn't work for me, so they can kind of incorporate that and play with hair. They love doing that kind of stuff. And I'm
Totally.
like, why not?
I
Why
know.
not?
Why not? And I think anybody should just mess around with it if they want to. I have a what not to do, parents. This is a thing. When I was in the seventh grade, and if anyone remembers the seventh grade, you're already hormonal and totally worried about you're changing schools, you're doing 6 classes a day instead of, sixth grade or whatever. And it's this scary, scary time, pre puberty, right? Or maybe during puberty.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do this as a parent. Say, I know how to cut your hair, honey. Don't worry about it. And cut your child's hair before seventh grade. Don't do it.
Oh
Do
gosh.
not do it because it's devastating if it doesn't go well.
That's true.
My mom and my aunt decided that they were going to do my hair and my cousin's hair at the same time. My cousin got a perm. She looked like she had a Brillo pad on her head.
Oh,
And it was just terrible. And my mom and Gail, my Aunt Gail, decided that they were going to take my hair, pull it all the way up like this, and then cut across the top, and that was going to be the new style. My bangs were like up to here. It was absolutely the most horrific thing. So, parents, don't get all overzealous and get excited
oh
and
my
think that you
gosh.
can do their hair. Don't. Just steer clear, pay a professional, let them be wrong, because this story is now folklore in my family, okay?
That is true. Cutting hair is a whole other ball game. And now I will admit, when my boys were younger, we kept their hair a little longer anyways because my
Yeah,
husband has incredible hair. He gets his like almost, shaven off every
yeah.
month. But my boys have my husband's hair and it's beautiful. And it's
Mm.
like my oldest son had those beautiful ringlets when he was a
Oh,
toddler. And then,
adorable.
my middle son was a towhead, so he had like this white blonde hair, just gorgeous. And so we actually kept their hair a little bit longer when they were younger.
Good. Hmm.
And then it got to a point where we started taking them to get haircuts. But I did have a couple of moments where I'm like, I could snip that. And like now I look back at pictures and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking?
Exactly. And if there's any kind of major thing going on in their life, don't cut their hair.
Right before, no.
It just is like they regret it. You'll regret it. Everyone talks about it until they're, 100 years old. So that's just all I have to say about that. Don't be that mom who says, "Oh, honey, let's just get your hair cut right before the Christmas photo."
Oh
No.
no.
They will hate you forever. Let them go shaggy. They'll be happier that the picture
Yeah.
existed, okay?
Yes. I view hair, it's like you're giving them a little bit of responsibility.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it goes awry, it can usually grow back. We've had those moments where my boys went to get their hair cut and it was a little too short and they were like, "Oh, I feel naked," or whatever, and
Yeah.
they wear a baseball cap for a couple days. But at least that was on the person that cut it. It wasn't on me. I was like, you should have spoken up when you were in the chair.
That's the key right there. Don't let it be you, okay?
That's right. Don't let it be you.
you.